Hello, hi Betsy, how are you?
Hi, Mihae. I'm doing well. I'm doing great. It's good to be with you today.
Yes, thank you very much for carving out your time to share your stories. Really appreciate. Thank you.
Absolutely. My pleasure. My pleasure.
So Betsy, I guess let's start with a bit of intro so our audience get to know who you are, where you are in your career journey, and so on.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll take it way back. Mihae, my journey began with a passion for storytelling and a deep belief in the power of human connection. I am the daughter of a master storyteller. My father was a beloved and kind Southern preacher in the town where I live right now, Spartanburg, South Carolina. I grew up here and then left for about 20 years and came back about 6, 7 years ago. I guess I've been working as a leader of brand communications and community relations at Milliken and Company, which is headquartered here in Spartanburg. Milliken is a global manufacturing company with about 7,000 associates and 70 locations across 15 countries. So it's sort of a sweeping intro, but somehow with a passion for storytelling and gravity that pulled me back to my hometown, here I am living out that passion in a very real way at a great company.
Amazing. How do you use storytelling in your role at the moment?
But that's such a great question. So it's interesting because I didn't major in anything that would, I wasn't a marketing major. I wasn't even a communications major. I majored in religion, in English as well, and then went to grad school for theology. I thought I was going to be a teacher, but while I was in school, ended up needing a job just to get by, right? To make money to put myself through school, and began working in communications from an early age as a grad student at various organizations across industries in Nashville and then Chicago and now back here at Milliken. And over time, what I've learned is communications isn't just about messaging, right? It's about finding the story that is the common thread that'll help shape culture, build trust, and most importantly, especially when it comes to internal communications, empower and rally our people. And so I think that background with a passion for storytelling kind of drew me in. And now I sit at the intersection of strategy and storytelling, right? Knowing that every message has the potential to really influence how somebody feels about not only their work, but the team and the purpose of an organization.
Do you have particular example that you can share with us how storytelling have helped you with particular, I guess, initiatives to make it more concrete?
Yeah, where to begin? When I think about my communications journey at Milliken, for some reason it always comes back to COVID because I stepped into sort of the role that I'm currently in right in February of 2020. So it was crazy, right? To be in a job and then kind of get promoted, and then suddenly the world faces things we've never faced before, or at least not in recent history. But and I'm gonna tell you a story to get to the point of this. I remember early on trying to understand sort of how to wrap our arms around communications in a moment like that. I quickly stepped onto what was at that time our COVID response team, which was made up of several members of our senior leadership team, and then also operations, and then me as the comms lead. And everything was new, right? There are no playbooks for how to handle COVID. There were external factors, internal factors, and you can imagine at a company like ours, while safety is always our top priority, in a crisis like this with locations around the world, we had to be able to really quickly pivot to make a difference, to keep people safe and be transparent about what we were doing. And then, also just to understand, like, are we sending people home? How are we protecting people that we can't send home? I just remember feeling so incredibly overwhelmed and stressed at that time. My children were young. I had a kindergartner and I think a third grader. My husband was a frontline nurse during COVID, and we were also caretaking for my aging parents. So we were homeschooling. He was a nurse. I'm leading comms. My parents are here. and I was kind of spiraling. We were on one of those daily early morning COVID response calls, and it must have been evident that I was kind of spiraling. And after we got off the call, one of my colleagues from the UK picked up the phone and gave me some wisdom that really grounded me and kind of grounded my purpose and my approach to how to tell stories and make the connection in a moment like that. He said, "How are you doing?" And I said, "I'm not doing great. I don't know what's going on, and not sure how I should be in this moment. I kind of don't know where my North Star is." And he said, "Your job is to make our people safer, to keep them more informed, and help them thrive where they can, even in hard times, because of your communication. Find a way to make it about them." And that reframed everything for me. It wasn't about me anymore or the stress that I was feeling. It wasn't about the perfection of a comms or, anything like that. It was about finding ways to keep our people safe and informed, and then also bringing them together so that they could thrive. What that manifested in was really sort of a 360 comms plan. We started introducing virtual town halls that we still do today. We did them monthly during COVID, but now we do them quarterly, where our leadership receives real-time feedback from our people. We also started doing storytelling about the experiences that people were having in COVID. We had a podcast, which we still have today, where we interviewed folks, who were dealing with the incredible pressure of COVID in India at that time, in China, in the US, and really just trying to rally people around those three core points of helping them to be safer, to be more informed, and also to find ways to bring us together and thrive. I don't know if I answered your question, but that's kind of where my mind immediately goes.
Yes, yes. Thank you for sharing. For sure, the uncertain times, the role communications, internal communications plays is critical. So
Yeah.
I can only imagine the type of pressure that you went through and the amazing work that you and your team did to stay positive and energized even in those hard times. So yeah,
All
thank you
about
for
taking
sharing.
it away. Yeah, I think sorry, I interrupted you there, but I think it's all about taking it away from, the sort of isolation of an individual experience that I'm having and understanding I'm a part of something bigger here, and understanding your purpose is so critical for me in being able to do my work.
Few things that I wrote down as you were speaking. One was, where's my North Star? I need to
Yeah.
find it, right? The
Yes.
purpose is so important for us humans to thrive. And
Exactly.
another thing that I wrote down is in your communications, make it about them. Help them feel safe and informed. That I wrote down. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And we can thank Jeremy Graham and HR in the UK for those wise words. I've got him on speed dial to this day. Absolutely. And that speaks to something too. Finding somebody to help ground you in moments where it's hard to find that grounding is so critical. So, so critical.
We cannot do this journey called life alone. We will
Oh,
people around us.
we
Yeah.
do. We really, really do. We do.
Speaking of that, other than Jeremy, you said Jeremy
Yes.
in UK. Yeah. Other than Jeremy, do you have any other mentors who have influenced you throughout your career that you want to um, give shout out to and share
Shout out.
stories?
Absolutely. I'll share a funny one. So it's interesting because I have never had a formal mentor relationship. I've gone through programs where I've had like an executive sponsor, which I guess kind of counts as that. But my mentorships have always been a little bit more organic, or at least the lasting ones have. I'll tell one that I think is a little bit odd because it didn't actually end up in a huge success story for me, but so impacted my approach to leadership and also to being a mentor for other people. Many years ago, I led communications for domestic microfinance organization, or a domestic arm of a microfinance organization called Axion. We were headquartered in Chicago. Axion is is global, but this was our Chicago headquarters. I was young. I was sort of a hot shot, I think, and I quickly fell under the sort of warm embrace of our chief operations officer who was named Robin Greiner. Robin has since passed, very, very sadly, but she was mentor and a friend to me, and opened doors for me, even at the expense of her own opportunities sometimes. So I'll tell you a story about that, which has always stuck with me. At one time, um, this group was in the middle of a leadership search, a CEO search, and I was very interested in the position. And at the time, of course, I think Robin was the natural successor as the COO. Um, she she had received a terminal diagnosis, and I think knew that her time working at the company was coming to an end. And incredibly graciously stepped aside and encouraged me and helped me go through the process of that search. I did not get the job. I made it pretty far into the search and learned some incredible lessons about what it looks like to step up, even just how to interview for things, understanding who I am as a leader and what I want. But she stepped aside for me and opened a door so that I could have an experience that I never would have had if it had not been for her. And I think that sort of sacrificial leadership is so rare, where somebody recognizes that there may be an opportunity for someone to have life experiences that'll change them forever. Robin did that. That's a dramatic story, but there are also a lot of smaller ways that she did that for me. She was incredible, a mentor and a friend, and I'll never forget her. I try to be like her every day.
Thank you very much for sharing that. How you started the story, not particularly successful, but still impactful. That I
Exactly.
wrote down. Because, right, life is not all about those shiny stories of shiny success. Along the way, there are so many different experiences that we gather that are not really like shiny on paper, but they are impactful. They help us grow and reflect. So yeah, that definitely I wrote down. And another thing that wrote that was not really formal mentorship organically. The mentor-mentee relationship happened because I think there is a little bit of pressure given how much mentorship that word is thrown away and thrown out there, that I have to have mentors. If I want to be successful in career, I have to be in this formal relationship of mentorship. I believe that is out there, and I went through that too. And I thought I didn't really have formal mentor, Betsy, as I was growing up.
It's very limiting, right? Because the way that, you sort of look at the construct of formal mentorships and who has the time, to
Mm.
and sort of the discipline to have a formal relationship like that. I think they do work for some people, but for me it's always needed to be more organic, something that you could sort of fit in a sidebar conversation or over coffee or lunch. And that's the nature of my best sort of reverse mentorship relationships too, where I get to work with folks who are maybe coming to me for mentorship, but I'm learning just as much from them as hopefully they are from me. I feel the same way a lot of times just about the way that we view career paths. I think much to the frustration of many of my leaders in the past, I have never known, exactly what my career goals were. And every boss I've ever had has introduced themselves to me and asked me, what do you want to do in the next 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? And the truth is, I don't know. I'm ambitious. It doesn't make me unambitious. In fact, as I just shared from my previous story, quite ambitious, maybe sometimes even too much. But for me, it's never been about this is the path that I want and this is the direct line that I'm taking to get it. It's been more about what skills do I have immediately that allow me to step into a place of purpose and meaning to do a good job today, but also to be able to learn and grow and build something and leave a place better than I found it and leave a place better than I came in. And so to me, it's all about organic growth and connections, finding the right leaders that you want to work with who will help you grow, and sort of following, what I refer to as, for me, it's been a little bit more of a winding path, not a direct line to leadership. And I know that doesn't work for everybody, but I also think it's helpful to take the pressure off
Yes.
if you don't know exactly who you want to be yet. I still don't know exactly who I want to be when I grow up.
Yes, yeah, I know. I totally resonate with you on that point. And the winding journey is what I went through as well throughout my career, last 2 decades, and I still am figuring out. Sometimes I'm like, so what do I want? But that pressure is so real.
It is so real. And I think it can be very paralyzing, right? I think about if there was one lesson I would pull from my career, it would probably be learning how to adapt to change, right? And to be resilient and adaptive and to find a way around the hurdles, or work with the hurdles even. I think if we're sometimes so literal or so stuck to the pressure of one way forward, when life throws a wrench, it's very hard to recover from that. Very hard to sort of have the nimbleness to carve a new path. And so I think for me, it's been helpful to be able to take that winding road and hopefully continue to make the most of it.
Yes. And what I have learned so far through that winding journey is that sometimes we want to pause and loosen the pressure to be able to find our way forward. Because if we are so under pressure and stress, then there are, I believe, some signals coming to us or coming from inside what we want to do moving forward. But when we are so rigid in that whatever box that we created and put ourselves in, then it is very hard to catch those signals. And
Oh,
life is so organic, but we try to make it not organic.
absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to look down here because you're making me think of a poem that I won't be able to quote from my head, but I might be able to find quickly. It's one that's been very meaningful for me lately. I so hear what you're saying. And I think probably always in this world, but certainly today, there is, we are bombarded with stressors and obstacles and moments where we really need to step back. I talk with my team about this a lot. Sitting at your computer and looking at a screen all day is, a recipe for just losing your mind and losing your ability to function as a human. I think some of my biggest anxiety triggers are when I haven't had a chance to get up and walk around and let my mind think or look somebody in the eye and have a conversation or somehow tilt the perception of what you're looking at to get a little creative about how to get around something. And I serve on the board of a couple of organizations here in Spartanburg. One of my most beloved is an organization called the Spartanburg Academic Movement. And the purpose of this organization is to provide wraparound support for children and families from cradle to career across our county. It's an incredible organization, and we don't have time for me to get into it today, but let me shout them out because one of the incredible things that this group provides for us at the beginning of every board meeting is a reading to help us open our minds and sort of think about things differently. And I just love the reading from our last meeting. I think it's really apropos. It's a poem by Wendell Berry, and it's called Our Real Work. And it really offered a perspective that has reshaped just in the last couple of weeks how I'm thinking about challenges. So if you'll allow me, I'll just read it to you. It's very short. It says, "It may be that when we no longer know what to do, we have come to our real work. And that when we no longer know which way to go, we have come to our real journey. The mind that is not baffled is not employed. The impeded stream is the one that sings." So just taking those obstacles, those challenges, and finding the opportunity to let you sing, right? I just love that poem. That the baffled mind is not employed. I mean, it takes the pressure and the stress and the confusion and the crisis, and to me has helped me reframe it to think about where I can find purpose in those things and let the work sing.
Yes. Wow, that touched me. That poem
Yeah.
touched me. Yes.
Yeah. I'll send it to you after this so you got
Please.
it.
Yes. Yeah, we want to, yeah, embrace the challenge instead of, I don't know. Oh, it almost feels like because challenges are there, we are alive. If there's no challenge, that almost means that we're not really fully alive. Yeah.
I love that. I mean, it is true. It's sort of the narrative of the diamond and the pressure that it takes to create a diamond out of coal or the sort of strength that you gain through making it through hard things. And I love what you said earlier about how we can't do this journey alone, right? I was just having a conversation with somebody this morning about dealing with some conflict in an organization. And I said, whether we like it or not, we're all in this together, and you can make a choice to be destructive in that process, or you can be a builder in that process.
Oh,
And if you choose to be a builder, then we'll all come out of this stronger. And so, yeah, I mean, it's the being able to seize the moment that's difficult, the challenge, and use it to rally around a common purpose and a cause and to get through it together and not alone.
man, there's so many golden nuggets in this episode, Betsy. Thank you. Choose to be a disruptor or builder. That's just
Yes.
bang on. Because it is our choice, right? We have
Yeah.
agency to make decisions, choices along the way, whatever we face.
Yeah.
To us.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sometimes we do it well and sometimes we really don't, right? But those decisions have real consequences, not just they have consequences for whether a team is toxic or not, whether it's functional and then, you know, take it up to a huge real world scale, in some cases quite serious consequences. And so, yeah, absolutely. And it is true. I mean, we are all in this together. Our lives affect each other's lives. We breathe the same air, whether we like it or not. Our lives are connected and our fates are very much tied to each other. Yeah.
Speaking of human connections and working together and so on, given it is a global company, 15 different countries, did you say? I think you said 15
Yes.
different
Yeah.
countries. And I'm pretty sure many, many, many frontline workers too, given
Yeah.
the sector that you are in.
Yeah. Yeah.
How currently do your employees connect with each other and communicate with each other when geographically they are all dispersed?
Such a huge question. And honestly, it can sometimes be a real challenge. I think to me, everything has to have that North Star to ladder up to, right? And so at Milliken, everything ladders up to our purpose, our values, and then I'll just zip through those quickly. And then for me, this all is grounded in our associate promise, which is how we promise to be. Just as we make promises to our customers as a company, we need to make promises to our people. So I'll quickly zip through the first two. Our purpose at Milliken is together we strive to positively impact the world around us for generations to come, which is huge, but we're a 160 plus year old company and we are a privately owned company. And so we are very much able to play that kind of long game and try to make a lasting impact, which is reflected, I think, in our core values, which are integrity, excellence, innovation, sustainability, and people. So when I got to Milliken, we had just rearticulated those things. There had always been something sort of like that at Milliken, but our CEO had just rearticulated those. And part of my challenge was how do we translate that purpose and values into a promise to our people so that we can create a plan for bringing them together. And so with our incredible team, and I think probably one of the most meaningful projects I've been a part of was the creation of of Milliken's Associate Promise. At the very heart of that promise is a sense of belonging. So, creating a culture where every voice is valued and where teams thrive through mutual respect and shared purpose, that purpose we just talked about. That commitment is the North Star of our communications and anchors everything else that we do. So, our associate promise is this. I won't recite it perfectly, but it lays out a couple of commitments. The first one is charting clear paths where contributions are recognized and rewarded, empowering each other to grow and find meaning every day, building a better future for our people, our communities, and our world, and then back to the top, cultivating that sense of belonging for all. And so what that does is inspire our team to determine how to live that out. And that is alive in even just the way that we do our performance reviews, right? How are we living out our promise in the way that we work with people on performance? In our belonging and inclusion trainings and our wellness initiatives, our town halls came out of this, right? We need a forum where people can hear from our leaders and in real time, all around the world, ask questions. It's the inspiration for our volunteer initiatives and our charitable work. It all starts, though, with the action of listening. And that is how we came upon the rearticulation of our purpose and also our associate promise. And so I think too often we try to think about how we're cascading information down, but the reality is that the people who are working on the floor of a plant in any location around the world far better know our business and the needs of our people than I ever could sitting at this desk or at the desk in our corporate office. And so thankfully, we live in a world where there are a lot of tools for that. We're able to do those virtual town halls. I'm lucky to have been able to travel and have open communications in a lot of places. And we do move our town halls. We broadcast from different plant facilities so that we have a chance to do real-time interaction with people in different areas. But there are also great tools like Viva Engage and digital signage and pulse surveys and things like that we do on a regular basis. The point being that every piece of communication is crafted to reinforce the purpose and values, and then also to provide an opportunity for feedback so that we can understand what the needs are. And in this day and time, it's constantly evolving. I feel like there's a new tool every day. Tricky to stay on top of that, but I think the heart of it all is listening.
How how do you listen from especially the frontline workers, Betsy? What types of strategies have worked for you?
Yeah. Honestly, the most effective for me personally is getting in a car or on a plane and going to the place and talking to people. That, of course, because of budgets and time, that can't happen every day. But we do try to get out and get to our plants as much as we can. And even if it's not me personally, work with someone in a location to do that. We often do roundtables where we'll just hear from people. The best conversations happen when you're just walking through a facility and stopping and talking to people, which is one of the reasons that I love the opportunity to do our town halls on site, because you just go and spend a couple of days with folks and hear what they're saying. There are language barriers in a global company, but we've recently been able to use not only in-person translators to help with that. We have incredible team members who are always willing to help, but also there are great new AI tools that allow for in-the-moment translation, which has been a lot of fun and sometimes is hilarious too, because sometimes it's really, really wrong. But there's nothing better than the human connection and actually getting to look somebody in the eye and hear what they have to say. To me, wherever possible, will always be the best form of communication and understanding.
It is more and more evident that digital tools that we have, so grateful to have them because it just scales and cost efficiently. We can get things done and also quite effective, but at the same time,
Yeah.
that very human nature of just being in the same space and just get get to know each other by being in the same physical space, that is not really 100% replaceable. with anything.
Break if you can, share a meal if you can, have a donut, walk the I always feel so self-conscious when because I'm, the sort of sometimes coming in as a corporate person and I walk in and they hand me the hairnet and the goggles and the vest. And there's nothing like walking in the place where someone works, wearing the gear that they're working and going through the day, to actually understand what the job looks like, what the needs are, and to sort of break the barriers of locations and space and all of that. The other thing I'll say, just on a smaller scale, even between teams. So to your point, there are so many great tools, and we do use those tools. Even like project management tools like Slack or Asana or Monday. There's so many of them. When we started to introduce those tools many years ago, the danger that I saw was that while yes, these will keep us efficient and on task, is that you do lose that human connection. If somebody's entering a ticket through a project management tool and I'm just delivering, it becomes very transactional, which not only breaks the human connection, but it also diminishes the work. If you pick up the phone and call me to talk to me about a project, we're going to be so much more creative together than if you just send me an email and say, get this done, or put in a ticket and say, get this done. And so, and we have to work hard to pay attention to that. And so, one of the things that we always say is, and this makes me sound old, my kids laugh at me when I do this because it's very Gen X and millennial, but before you respond to that ticket, just pick up the phone, or pick up the phone, whatever they say, or dial into Teams or walk across the hall and have a conversation and build some rapport and build some energy and build the work together, right? Step away from the tool, use the tool, but step away from it and build the connection. It's all about connection.
But what is next for you?
Oh my goodness. Today or in life? I don't even know. I always love it when people ask me what I'm working on because I'm such a compartmentalizer. I can never remember without going to look at the list. You know what I mean? I think there's maybe just as parents and professionals and all the things, we're just so good at putting things in boxes. But I don't know what's next for me. I'm always looking for a place to live out that purpose of really helping people to thrive and using the skills that I have. Right now, I think we're at a great time in our company of really learning how to adapt to the many, many changes and challenges in the world and continuing to build a great team. I think sometimes when people think of manufacturing, they think of old school, but manufacturing is just as relevant today as it ever has been. And so making sure that we keep it relevant and keep our people aligned and safe and use the tools in a way that enhances jobs and work and doesn't detract from them. And so very much still in the mode of building and blooming and growing and learning. And it's a good time to be in that mode, I think.
Betsy, not just for the sake of being, nice and pleasant. I really mean what I'm about to say. Throughout this episode, I could tell that you are just so fully alive. You have such passion for what you do and what you believe in, the purpose that you're living, and you are not hesitant to share, are excited to share, and you want to share to serve. That is just so, so, so lovely to see. Because in this world that we are living in, a lot of things that people share. All people share, do share. But for what reasons do they share? Right? Sometimes
Yeah.
each. But for what reasons? What are the driver behind sharing? Right?
Yeah.
So I'm just so appreciative that you showed up the way that you showed up, very authentically you, and sharing what you shared. Thank you. My heart is so full talking to you.
To hear that, and you're very welcome. I was honored to be asked to participate and so grateful to know you now. I'm a firm believer that once you meet somebody and know them, you're connected for life. And so I feel certain our paths will, I hope and feel certain that our paths will continue to cross. It sounds like we're on this journey very much together. So thank you. I'm very grateful for the opportunity.
Yes, yeah, you're very welcome. And yes, please would love to stay connected. And I'm going to be the cheerleader for you throughout going for your journey. I cannot wait to see what you are going to be doing going forward to live your purpose.
Thank
I'll
you.
be
Right back at
cheering
you.
for you.
Absolutely. That's great. Thank you
Thank
so much. And
you.
by the way, I love your glasses. They're so cute.
Ah, thank
Yeah,
you.
right. I feel like we have to tell each other when we've accessorized well, right?
Yes, yes. And I remember last conversation that we had. I love your hair.
My hair is really grown out right now, so thank you.
Yeah, it's longer today compared to last time that I talked to you, but
I
yeah, you
know.
was so lovely.
Thank you. Thank you. You
Yes.
too.
Thank you again. And yeah, stay connected, please.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you.
Talk to you later.